Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Chris Bradley, owner of the MRR agency and fitnessads.ai. This YouTube channel is all about taking coaches and business owners from £10,000 per month all the way to 20k and beyond. Today's video is no different. It's very much all about you if you're a £10,000 per month or 100 to 200k business owner per year. Today, we are looking at the $500,000 scaling roadmap, and specifically the 100k to 200k range, because when you get to 100k, you face a whole lot of challenges, constraints to get you to 200k. And I want to give you them. I want to transport into the future and give you these things right now to avoid on your pursuit of 200k per year and beyond. So we tackled in previous videos, I'm not going to revisit it because you can watch them separately. We tackled 0 to 50k per year, and we targeted 50 to 100k per year, and that took us to stage 3, which is 100k to 200k per year. Now, this is when stuff gets real. This is when life gets very, very exciting. But a lot like what got you from 50k to 100k per year, you faced a lot of challenges at that stage. There's a lot of challenges here. To be honest, the challenges they feel like they get more important and bigger, but they all get kind of the same. They're all the same. They just matter more and they mean more because there's so many moving parts. I like to think that when you get to 200k, things can get a lot simpler because you've got the finances there, and provided you've got the right support network around you and you're not being an idiot, you will maintain that money and go to the next level as well, because it's a lot easier, for example, getting in shape. It's a lot easier to get in shape and stay when you're already in state and stay in shape than it is thinking about being massively out of shape and going, oh my God, how can I ever get in that shape and how can I even maintain it? And when it comes to business, obviously you end up, when you get to 200k, for example, you build up a lot of reputation, a lot of client results. You build up a lot of finances to be able to reinvest, and you acquire a lot of skills as well, which means you should, provided you don't derail too much, be able to compound that stuff and be able to compound that money. Doesn't always work like that. Business is not linear, but in an ideal world, that's what we want to do. We want to harness our new skills. We want to harness the funds that we've got to reinvest, to multiply our revenue and ultimately our output as well. So when you hit stage 3, you're running a real business now. Clients are coming in, results are flowing, and you're leading a team, but the back end is starting to crack. What worked at 20 clients doesn't work at 50 clients. You're no longer building for survival, you're building for sustainability. Now, there's not many YouTube videos that you'll watch out there where they mention the word sustainability, where they mention the word predictability, where they mention recurring revenue. I'm the only recurring revenue agency in the world because it's not sexy, but I'm here to make it sexy. So the big challenge is you're growing faster than your systems, team capacity, tools, retention, and something is always under pressure. So you're always coming under pressure with one of these things, either your team's capacity and output, the tools that you use, your retention, and something is always under pressure. Cash might look good, but it's not always predictable. And you earn a lot, but somehow have never felt more volatile around money. I'm sure you're nodding at the screen right now. You have 6-figure chaos. What got you here won't get you to freedom. So when you get to this range, you've probably got a new house, higher mortgage, you've probably started treating people, you've probably bought a nicer car, you've probably started hiring some team members, and the business has grown and grown, and your mind hasn't grown yet because you're still that individual self-employed person that's like, whoa, what has happened to this massive business here? And if you're ambitious, then you constantly want to do more and achieve more. So you're always like, yep, there's some more money there. Yep, there's some more things there. And it can grow into this monster. And sometimes you have to sit back and go, what did I create? Like, I've created a monster here. We've all been there. And honestly, I think you have to get to that stage before you realise you've created the monster. But yeah, what got you here won't get you to freedom. So stage 3, a data reminder, track your MRR, churn, lifetime value, lead sources. Data now tells you what to scale. This is so important, right? I'm not going to write on this, but you need to track your MRR, right? And this is the thing that most people miss. Most business coaches out there are like, what sale did you make? How much cash collected? That's all they care about. When you get to this stage, I'm willing to bet that you've got some pretty expensive bills that you have to pay personally and in business. your MRR is one of the most important factors to make sure that they're covered. Churn, obviously, directly contributes, has a direct factor on recurring revenue as well. Lifetime value, how much is a client giving you over their lifetime with you? You need to track that. Otherwise, you'll get reactive. You'll be like, oh, no sales this month, or I don't know what to charge, and you're just going on instinct and shooting from the hip. You need to know how much a client is worth to you, especially when you're running paid advertising. Like if you're spending money to acquire a client, but the client is worth £1,000 to you in a year, then surely you'd be willing to spend a lot of money to get that client. Whereas a lot of coaches just focus on the front end and don't think about the long term. Okay, so here's the key. Data tells you now what to scale. So that's stage 3, setting the scene for it. So let's look at the constraints by department then. So market clarity, your messaging is still too broad or overly manual. I know you're probably like, if you've watched a few of these videos now, you're probably like, why do people keep saying that? It's the truth. Like just the other day there, I refined our messaging again. I have revisited our avatar off the back of market research. I've got 150 submissions from coaches filling in market research. And I have revisited our avatar more times than I care to think about, because when the market gets more sophisticated, when you as the individual business owner keep developing, keep growing, you start to realize who you want to help and who you don't want to help. And so when you do that, then you should revisit your avatar, because that's where you want to try and attract those people. And then you also rebuild your offer to suit those people. So then there's going to be a time where your clients who are sitting in there aren't a fit for that new model or the new standards that you've set, and you have to accept that. But your messaging's still very broad and probably very manual from you as the owner. You're very reactive with content. You wake up and post before you go into the nitty gritty. And then position hasn't evolved to meet volume. Like this is key here. And I'm actually going to write this down because I want to cover it in a bit more detail. But this is something that a lot of business owners at this stage don't even think about. So if we go positioning, because I want to cover this in a bit more detail in a sec. So positioning. Your position hasn't evolved. Let me cover that in a minute. Lead generation. So lead flow is inconsistent, or it's feast or famine. So again, I'll write this down because I want to elaborate on it. I just want to give the high level overview first. Feast or famine. Your campaign relies on the founder's presence, which is mostly overly reliant on organic content. So when you launch campaigns, and then it relies on you as the founder to come up with the idea, to produce to make it a reality and to put it out there. And then you check surface level things to see if it's worked or not. You go, how many signups did I get? What worked, what didn't? Then you leave it at that and you go back to fulfillment. Okay, it's not enough. But you're also still overly reliant on organic. This is where you need more paid lead generation systems. And then brand authority. So there's a lack of long-term brand narrative. So this is where you've like, see the idea of doing your avatar again or thinking about your long-term brand narrative. It's long-term thinking, and when you're busy in the woods of firefighting and running your business, you don't want to think about long-term stuff. Sometimes you're just like, I just want to make a profit this month. Sometimes you're like, I just want to make some sales. Sometimes you're just like, this needs to be an easy month. Hopefully no one leaves, and you go all in on client delivery. But you need to think about the long-term brand narrative. Hopefully, if you've followed my stuff for the last year, you will see how big we are. There's a reason these are red pens. There's a reason this is red. There's a reason there's a big massive sign above you. There's a reason I've got MRR tattooed on my leg. Like, I'm all in on the brand narrative, because I believe the brand narrative is the thing that will draw my perfect clients towards me for the long term. And then we have results exist, but they aren't broadcast well enough in a marketing ecosystem. So when you think of your results, they oftentimes just look like, for the majority of businesses, they're a post, they're a reel, and then it's left at that. Sometimes it might be a carousel that's put together, like, a slide format like that, but that's about it. And what it's not is, and if I just could get out of hand here, let's just go here, and I'll cover this bit separately. So yeah, you want a social proof ecosystem. So we have an email that goes out from the brand new post. You want a reel, and then we want a case study. So this is where you interview and film the client as you go over it. You want this to get added to your follow-up emails. You want it to get added to the book a call emails. You want it to get added to the social proof section on your website or landing page. You want to, let's see what else you could do with this just off the top of my head. You could obviously update your whole Instagram highlights as well. And so this is the big part. But as I mentioned earlier about organic, it's retargeting is the big piece here. So this becomes a social proof ecosystem. So if you've got a certain type of clientele, let's say you've got 3 or 4 different types of clientele that fit in that kind of way, judging on the look or the result they've achieved, this becomes a social proof ecosystem whereby whatever they do in your world, they're going to get hit with social proof. And that's that trust factor, okay? Bit of a tangent there, but you get the gist. It's all good. So, results is this, but they aren't broadcast well enough in a marketing ecosystem like this. I'm talking about when someone lands on your Instagram page, has a snoop, and then comes off it and goes to Facebook, they get targeted by one of your client results. Or they click off Instagram, go back on Instagram, and they get hit with a result. You go on my Instagram right now, you will get hit. It's like within the next 4 or 5 posts, you'll get hit with a retargeting of a client or me explaining the service. Operations and systems. So systems are live in WhatsApp and Brains, not SOPs, so standard operating procedures. So systems are live, but it's in your brain. You know what to do. You then try and get the odd person to help you and stuff, and then you have to just verbally say it all. You don't just hand them an SOP. So when someone comes in my business and they're taking over something for us, there's an SOP already ready for them to go and take it away. To the point, like with SOPs, operating procedures in your business, you almost want to not have to talk when you hand a job over, because it should all be laid down there. You're going to talk, you're going to chat and communicate, but that's the way it should be. I always remember this when I took on Cheryl to the business, and I just knew that I could just sit and talk to her and tell her all this stuff. And it wasn't until like I realised, I was like, well, what if we couldn't sit here? And I remember she used to coach in the gym, and I'd finished up coaching in the gym. And I used to go home, we couldn't chat about stuff straight away. So I was like, I have to just create this document for her to read when she's ready. And that was the start of it. I know that sounds so basic, but that's probably where you're at as well in your business, right? So cash flow is reactive, not forecasted. So you want to think about, looking at, each of the quarters ahead and just being like, right, okay, how much can I actually spend this quarter because tax or VAT's due, or because I know for a fact, like, I'm going to go double down on ad spend this quarter, will I pull some back next month or the next quarter? So you want to think about how your cash flow is going to be, and it's not reactive. Trust me, that's when you'll end up in a bad spot, right? It's leadership team. So the team is present but not proactive. So you're not building a team and everybody's just waiting for the next thing and waiting for whatever comes out your head that week. And then roles are muddy and delivery is uneven. So there's no set times for when delivery is key. I'll tell you a little bit about this as well. I've realised I've got this camera on here, so I might not be able to, let's just move this, because I want to get more paper involved. Okay, more paper involved. So the roles are muddy and the output's uneven. I'll tell you the quickest way to do this, if you've got some team members right now, I want you to look at when, and this is so basic by the way, I want you to look at when your clients are the most active or they need you the most. Because at the end of the day, like, obviously you're trying to build a business, but if you've got team members, you're also trying to help them with their life. They want to have a good work-life balance as well. They don't want to feel pressured and stressed, and you end up with a whole host of problems there as well. And so we did this with our team, right? And you can have some team members who work at certain times and then someone else takes over and things. If you've got a setup like that, then it could be ideal. But we just looked at it and went, right, well, let's check all the messages. Let's check when our clients ask questions. Let's check when they put stuff in for feedback. When is it? And what we found was, because they're business owners, it's B2B, it might be different for you. We found that Monday to Thursday was the absolute peak time for when they needed help. we found that like by Friday to Sunday, we never really heard from them. And this was our peak time. So what I said to my team was like, look, you know, we don't give shifts or anything like that. We're all working remotely and we all just do what it takes. But let's pick Monday to Thursday to really go all in. That's when we over deliver. You maybe have to work till 8:30 on a Thursday just so it's done. But I quite like the idea that on a Friday, most of us, we'll be there checking our phones. But the idea that your whole team can just finish the meeting on a Friday and just chill and just keep an eye on the phones, it's pretty powerful. As opposed to what we were doing before, was like, be available, always reply in 24 hours. It never worked for us. So this was a better way to do it for us. Anyway, that's a long way explaining. The roles are muddy and delivery is uneven, because this is one of the biggest things. I've done a video on this before, but see, when delivery is uneven, that's when your clients have mismanaged expectations, and that's when you get stressed, because on a good week, you'll keep up this level of replying to clients, and then you just have an off week. We all do. And the clients have had this bar raised, and then all of a sudden there's this miscommunication and you get upset clients. So it's just important for delivery to be consistent. And sometimes as a human being, we have these moments and we have these dips. So if you set it up in such a way where there's a fail safe, everybody's happy, right? Okay, I am now going to mess up all these sheets, no doubt. But we're here anyway. So here's some solutions. As we talk about problems all day long, but here's solutions. So market clarity, you want to refine your messaging for volume, not one-to-one DMs only. You want to align all your content with your core offer language. You want to install the ideal buyer persona for all marketing campaigns. So if you pay attention to the start of this video, we have clearly stated that we want to help people who go from 10K to 20K and beyond. I'm doing this scaling roadmap because it's 100K to 200K, then I'll do 2 to 300, because I'm trying to find my ideal client persona by showing them the road and the path to take. And you'll see that I started this video, I explained who the ideal persona was. And so I've refined my messaging. And you'll see on socials, if you go on Instagram right now, you'll see that same messaging rings true. Building a lifestyle empire from 10 to 20K. You click on my ads, it will all be the same, right? Lead generation, so make lead gen a daily priority whilst building your playbooks. Clear KPIs for DM setting and closing. Tie your book a call funnel into the chat to call system, so warm DMs turn into booked calls. So by this point, you want to make sure you've installed a book a call funnel that works really, really well with your clients. So you show them an ad, it takes them to book a call. This works so well. And as soon as they book a call, you're going to be there in the calendar to take the call. In some instances, some might not. You might get a drop off here, and that's where you want to have a DM process to get them into that calendar. It's called the chat to call system we have. It's very, very simple. And that's what you want to make sure. And you want to track that stuff a lot. Brand authority, get a rebrand. Repositioning strategy. It's time for you to reposition yourself in the market. If you get to between 100 and 200K, it's amazing, like incredible. But it might just be time for you to rebrand. Have a bit of a refresh, reposition yourself. So for 3 years, we were called the Upgraded Coach, and we were mentorship style. And then we graduated, we learned a lot, we reinvested. And quite frankly, we were able to help bigger business owners, more serious business owners. And so we rebranded as the MRR agency, and that was it. It was like we were ready to go, and we are the specialists and the category leader for recurring revenue. Update all funnels and application forms to attract top end of your market. So this all filters down, by the way. As soon as you get market clarity, you should get more leads and the right leads, and then your brand authority goes up. And you want to make sure that when you change all of this stuff, it's reflective across the board. Like, you have to be ruthless with it. Everything from your Instagram bio to your email follow-ups, like change it all, right? And then your operations and systems. So create a 90-day forecast, profit and loss sheet. CRM, sales pipeline are all managed by a VA, overseen by you. Install the 80-20 MRR pay in full model. I spoke about this on social media, but to give you it very quickly, again, I'm going to have to do a little shimmy here because I'm writing a lot. I should probably write a lot smaller. So what we have here is the MRR and pay in full model. I can't believe I come up with this and no one else come up with it. So it's 80% MRR is your revenue, 20% then comes from sales, specifically pay in full sales. Now, what I've seen a lot of the time with online coaching businesses, because they've learned the big pay in full thing, they have this kind of 40 to 60% pay in full, and their MRR is shocking. So they have, like, I don't know, let's say they hit a month. Of that month they just hit there, and that revenue numbers, it'll be something like 40% MRR. And here's the problem with that. The problem is that if you don't make any sales, you've not got any money. Quite simply. And you might say, I'll always make sales. Yeah, you won't always, right? Things can happen in life. I'm all about building stable businesses so that you can chill out and have a good life. And so the best way to do that is 80% MRR, then 20% sales. There are going to be months where this fluctuates a little bit during big campaigns, absolutely. But here's the thing about 80% MRR. I'm talking about MRR. I'm talking that you pay yourself a wage. It's all your expenses. It's everything covered, including paying yourself a wage, including putting your money for a pension by. It's not just basic living expenses, right? It's still going to pay you a wage. So it's like MRR on steroids, right? Just thought I'd mention that because 99% of people watching this won't have been taught it. So where was I? Yep, here, leadership and team weekly check-in call, and embody the brand's core values across the team. Assign scorecards, KPIs by role for each team member. We all have a scorecard. They all have a KPI. They bring it to the team meeting. We talk about it all. Have a cadence of like twice a month where you look at it all, and then you take any action steps based on the data. Start quarterly planning sessions. So you plan for your quarter ahead so that you can get to these big numbers and changes. And honestly, like, when you look at your plans for the month ahead, just put it into these categories. You cannot lose, right? All you have to do from there is actually implement. So what does success look like? Well, the team has clear roles and KPIs. Delivery is structured and scalable. Monthly cash flow and forecasts are stable. Retention strong, driven by product and experience. Campaigns and conversions are documented and repeatable. Your days get calmer. You spend more time thinking, less time scrambling. So the bottom line is you're going to outgrow the hustle. Now you need to build infrastructure. Think like an operator, not a doer. Your team must own the results. Your delivery must run without you, and your clients must win consistently. And in the next video, I'll cover stage 4, which is 200k to 300k milestone. I did say I was going to go back and cover this stuff as well here. So let me just quickly do that. I think I've covered it in detail, to be honest. I think I've covered that enough. What I was talking about was, of course, positioning, feast and famine, and results. I think by the time I've done all this, 80-20 pay in full model covers the feast or famine. So covers it well. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, press like, press subscribe, give me some love. Any comments, any questions, pop it in the comments below. See you in the next video.